was supposed to have a lovely lady who I have the joy of meeting in August in Sarasota, Florida, who came for the trainings and the conference, Petra from Czechoslovakia. And she was supposed to be here today giving you guys a talk. But she got sick during Basic 2, right? And then she has to go back home to avoid getting pneumonia. So our prayers go that she's feeling better and hopefully all turns well. But she did send you guys a little message that she asked me if I could kindly read the message. So this is what I'm going to try.
Petra, she started yoga for the special child kind of 2 years ago. 2 years ago. And she came, I think the first program was in, do you remember that? She's also from Czechia. She's from Czechia, Republican, and she began, I don't remember, I think perhaps in New York, and then, I don't remember exactly, but she came to Holland as well. She has been following me for a while, these 2 years.
Oh,
And after she finished the basic 1 program, she began to work with the kids immediately, because I told her, go home and work with kids.
I want her to see
herself.
I'm
okay?
sure she's
So she
waiting
has
to
CP.
see you.
And when she came to attend my first program, she has lots of physical difficulty. She was walking with like a jerk movement.
May I ask you
And
something, Shiva? Can you stand here and then talk about her? Because the camera can't see you.
Really?
Yes, come.
The camera
Please.
changed. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
thank you. Yes, just come here. Here,
Should I stand
nice
up?
chair, right here. Okay.
No, I don't have to sit.
All right.
So anyway,
I'll sit. Yeah.
so she went back to Czech and started teaching yoga to kids, and it was amazing because she was constantly sending me pictures of the kids she was working with, and then I was just helping her. No, instead of holding this way, hold it that way there. Oh, this one here is good, but you just change and come from behind here. And she was really following everything. And the pictures that she was sending to me was getting better and better and better and better. So it's like exactly what I was talking with Annie right now here. She was saying, oh, thank you very much. No, don't thank me. Thank yourself. Because I could be telling you what to do and you not follow. And then you not change. Because I have lots of students that they are following for 20, 30 years, but they are in the same spot. They think they are following, but they are not. So Gurudev, I remember once saying to a person, don't call me a teacher anymore because you are not following what I am saying. So you say that I'm your teacher, but all the time I say to you something you don't follow. Huh? So then she was really following it. She has many students. Here we have a friend of hers from Czech as well that was attending. She was attending my program in Sweden last week, before I came. So then now she walks completely different. She positions herself completely different. She's a yoga for the special child practitioner. She's teaching many yoga classes to kids, especially kids with also a cerebral palsy. And she's applying everything she learned from the program. To give you an idea how inspired, how she's inspiring people around. In Sweden, when I was teaching basic 1 there, a couple came to Sweden bringing their children for me to work with as a demo. Look at how much inspiration this young lady, she's very young, is sharing with the people. And in the basic 1 here, not only the continuing education, in the basic 2?
No, continue.
In the continuing education. In the continuing education, another parents came with a child with CP for me to work with. And she was supposed to be in the 2 classes, there in Sweden and here. But then she got sick. She got sick and she was, she was in Sweden with me, but it was very cold. Then she went back home and she was supposed to come for the conference. Huh? She saw the child there in Sweden, the class with the child there, and she could not attend. And she sent a message for all of us. But I'm very, very proud of that young lady that is doing already so much. Teaching yoga to kids, and she's a brilliant mind and beautiful lady. She's beautiful, very beautiful. But in 2 years she has changed so much that, did you already know her before you come to the program? No? Oh, you don't? Okay, so did she inspire you to come? Yeah. So, there we go. So, yeah, I'm very proud of her, and we are all sending prayers for her to be, healed. So, thank you.
So this is the message that she sent to us. My dear special yoga family, just a few words before you will hear another beautiful speech. I should have been here in London with you to share our Czech yoga journey. Just a few words on that. Some of you had the opportunity to see my beloved student Hannah on the first day of our continuing education program on Monday. Hannah was the first kid with Down syndrome that I worked with. She has cerebral palsy. All my childhood long, I was dreaming about helping other children to get over the obstacles that the CPE can make in their lives. I thought that if there was something I was able to do, the thing was to cope with that diagnosis. She has a diagnosis on CPE, like I said. Many years I thought that the key is to accept the diagnosis. And to be honest, I was not successful at all. 2 years ago, I met Shivakami for the very first time. 2 years ago, I was a person with a diagnosis to focus on looking for the solution. I came from a country that had very high physical therapy standards, and this standard has quite devastating impact on the children's souls. They were still under judgment, and so was I. Shivakami taught me that the most important thing in my life is not to overcome the diagnosis, not to win over anything, not to be typical. When I had the first class with Hannah and we were saying the final message, she looked at me and said, "But I'm not afraid of anything." Oh yes, I am afraid of one thing, of you not being funny, the little girl told her. So on my humble opinion, my friends, the key is to be happy. You can always know what makes you happy, but you are not really sure of what makes other people happy. Maybe you do if you listen to them. When I began working with kids, I was traveling all around our country and Slovakia to spread yoga for the special child and to get experience with different kinds of conditions to work with. Nowadays, I work in Prague with 25, 30 kids on a regular basis. That's a lot. Many of them had Down syndrome. At the very beginning, I was afraid that I would never be capable to provide the child the care he or she needs, because kids with Down syndrome are much more flexible than I am. However, as I was going on, and with time, I started to realize that it's only what you can give. Not only what you can give, but how you are giving it. Hannah is always saying to me, "I'm a little bit more flexible than you, but I do not have that patience that you do with myself. That's why I need you as my teacher." Please, my dears, do not think that there is nothing you can give to the children with the worst conditions you have ever seen. Do not think the most important thing is to get the typical response. Use the keys that Shiva comes teaches you so deeply. Work on yourself. Don't be afraid to be happy. Teach your students to feel that happiness. Teach them to express themselves, no matter how far from typical expressions it can be. They can just go crazy. I am the happiest person ever. Yoga for the Special Child has taught me how to be happy being myself and how to be happy for others. So please do so. Don't feel sorry for the kids. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. The kids will never judge you for making them. The kids will never judge you when you are in front of the child. You are always at the right place. Please be there with all your love, because if you have that, you don't need anything else. And you give the children everything they need. I wish you all a wonderful journey with your students. See you next time. With love and gratitude to all of you, Petra. Wow, it's hard to talk after that, right? Oh my goodness, it is interesting. I have been part of that journey since it began, I believe. And I haven't met all of you, so I'm Sonia Sumar's daughter, the older one. Old. She says I'm really young, but I'm old. Not recording anymore?
It got to after the speech and then it went.
I don't know. It's not meant to be. Very sorry, folks. As a sister of a child with special needs, and the more I think about like when it happens, because my sister would be 45 years old if she was here now. So if you think about Brazil 45 years ago, is what you hear Shiva Kama saying, just keep your daughter at home. When she's 7, something will happen. Like you take her to school, a special school, and that's it. I never lived that life. I lived a life where we're the 3 Musketeers girls, or the 3 Wonder Womans, and we're a team that works together. There were no difference between my sister and I. I never felt ever that my mom gave more attention to her than she would give to me. I wouldn't allow that too, also. They just go, right? To say that I'm always, so. But I never felt like I was the sister of a child with special needs. I never did. And even among my friends, they always treated her like a normal person because that's the way that I saw her. Maybe more difficult, maybe taking more time to do things, but it was fun growing up. I have amazing memories from growing up with my sister. As she grew older, and then we started needing the school things and going to places and stuff, maybe it became a little more difficult for her. But I never really, like I was so, someone said the word trust, how I trust. I trust her so much that I'll give you an example. I was going to high school, so I possibly 15, 16 years old. And we don't have school buses in Brazil. We take normal buses to go to school. Do you have school buses in London? Yeah? Yeah, we don't. So we take normal buses or your parents drive you. I took a bus. And the bus was like a 40-minute drive to the school where I went. And I would make her rush, so I want to take the bus with all my friends, although we are not like a school bus, but it was a lot of people in my community that goes to that one school that I went, so I want to go with them. So I make her rush so we can take the bus and go with them. But she likes sitting up front. And a bunch of teenagers, of course, they want to sit on the back of the bus and singing and whatever, and she didn't like that, so she sat all the way in the front of the bus. And I was on the back of the bus with my friend. And in the beginning, I would get out of it. She needs to get out of one bus stop before me. So in the beginning, I would do that, and I would get off with her. My friends kept going. And then I would take her to the school, and I'll cross this really busy street to go to my school. But then I started saying, why am I doing that? She can walk by herself. I'll just let her go. And I trusted that she could do it. I don't think I would do it now, but at that time, I don't think I would do that now, but at that time, it was a different time. 47 years ago, in anyone's book was a lot different. So I said I would just let her go. And then I would just see her, you're going to get out by yourself. You can walk. There was no streets to cross. It was just going up in a little hill and then going to that street. So when the bus was getting out, I would be looking at her, making sure that, she's getting there. But I had no idea if she was going to really get there. So I really trusted that she was fine. And I did that years and years. I took some time for her to find out that I was doing that. I think one time the school was closed for some reason, and then she was standing at the door, and I had no idea I was in school. So someone called her and said, oh, she got here too early or something like that. I don't remember, but then she found out and said, oh, I've been doing that for a while now. But I just trusted her. I thought that she was 13. She was 15, so she was 13. I said, well, she's fine. She can do that, 12, 13. So it was just a sister, sister stuff. I would bother her. And the other thing that people say, the unconditional love, you can really feel with children with special needs. Who here has siblings? Okay, so you remember being young and bothering them, annoying them, and they'll get mad at you and maybe not talk to you for hours or days, I don't know. She would not talk to me until I would annoy her. I would go and go, and I say, Mom, Renata is annoying me. I said, okay. No, kiss. Stop. I'm not going to do that anymore. Hug. That's it. Any anger, anything was dissolved, and she was my best friend again. And she loved me no matter what. There was no if in her love. And that growing love, I start feeling with, and that's the way that I grew. I grew up in a family where there was this love, this unconditional love, this team. We help each other, we protect each other, we are with each other, no matter what. And she would defend me if it's necessary. And that goes in the other way. So it was different when I started working with kids with special needs. I took my first training, I was 12 years old, and I started teaching when I was 15. And I thought that I was going to see the same world because that's the one I grew up with. And it was different, it was not the same because there's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of difficulty, and for me everything was so simple. Why a big deal? It is fine. But then I start seeing that I need to start looking at the other person, understanding them, not judging why they don't see it with my eyes. The simple eyes of just love. But I didn't change myself. I tried to keep myself the way I was. I look at a child, I smile, I try to connect with them, and that's the way I always am. And just by being an example of how easygoing it is, I start feeling that the parents start opening up a little bit more. They were difficult kids. They were like this Isabella who would cry, like the whole class. But the parents didn't want to stop. I said, I don't think it should stop. And working with children with a little bit more challenging disabilities, sometimes in a world what you need automatic response. Oh, you do this, you need to get that. You do this, you need to get that. And what I love about yoga, and at least yoga for the special child, is that this is not what happens. It's a process that comes slowly, and you see it. And a nice example of that is that I work 2 times a week with a boy who has autism, and he has very aggressive reactions sometimes. When he gets disappointed, you come and he will scratch you, and he'll try to bite you. And the mom was always worried about, she wants to be in the room with me to avoid him from hurting me. I said, I'm here. I decided to come. It's part of the package. It's okay. It's fine. I will tell you if I need help. And she gave me that space. And he's 10 years old now. Then I work with another boy who has Down syndrome. And he's also 10 years old. And I have a child who is 9.5. And the most interesting about this is that I have been working with them for a year now, and my son, of course, I see no forever. And I see behaviors. They're just the same. And I keep telling the parents, they're kids. It's a 10-year-old kid. This is what they do. Maybe you don't know how to express your frustration, so you have to express it with your hands. But it's a frustration, or sometimes it's even happiness. Like when he gets really excited, really happy, he starts biting, but then he'll bite a pillow. Or he has a bunch of blankets that I have to. The first time I went to teach him, there was like a room. You have like this big room like this one. It has 100 blankets around. It's really like blankets everywhere. And they start just pulling the blankets away and make space. Nowadays we have our own space. And it's either you choose, either blanket or my class. We just make a choice. Time for blanket, if you want a blanket, but you can express yourself in a different way. And the big connection for all of them was the breath, is working with the breath. And Shivakam kept telling me that I have to work on my own breath, and said maybe that's why I'm getting those little kids, because I can feel it when I'm working and they start getting agitated. I can feel my breath pattern changing. I mean, okay, then I have to and calm down my breath. When I try to calm down my breath, I can reach them better, because if I start getting involved, and I'm sure you guys heard that Shivakam saying that, don't get involved with the emotion, because if you get into the emotion, you lose control. So if they agitate it and then you agitate it as well, that's not going to work. So you need to keep the calmness and what's going on, but trying to bring what you want then is to calm down. So the breath will be a good connection. So he started learning now, the boy with autism start learning that he needs to work on his breath. He get anxious, he said, you know what to do. And then he start going, I said, yes, that's what you do. You don't bite. And that now he's talking to me some. I said, oh, you start talking. And then he comes, wants to bite me. I said, are you a dog? And they say, no. I said, well, so why are you trying to bite me? And then he starts laughing and he smiles and thinks that it's funny. I said, yes, you have to just calm down. But I also work with, on my kids' school. And I go back again to that dropping labels, because I work, the class that I work with is a highly gifted class. The kids are very smart, but they need yoga so bad because they're so agitated. They don't stop. They will be, I take the shoes off, they're going to be on the feet, they're going to go on their legs. And it's non-stop. And I said, I want to challenge you guys. We're going to do challenging. That you're going to only do the movements you need to. And then we try to do a sun salutation. So you're going to do the sun salutation, but you're not going to try not to do any extra movement. Just the ones you need for the sun salutation. And I have a little check note with the names. I said, and I'm going to put check mark every time that I see someone doing an extra movement. And then guess what happened? I didn't mark anyone. And I said, so do you guys understand what just happened? I gave you a challenge. And then what happened is that because you're focused, you didn't need any of those extra movements. And one thing that I always do, I don't treat them as little kids. I treat them as people who have bright minds. And I challenge them. I try to bring the philosophy of yoga into my classes with the kids. So you want to do this, because you know when you learn that really hard math problem, and your teachers tell you to show your work, that is the step by step. When you're doing the sun salutation, if you do it anyway, you're not paying attention. You're not going step by step. And your mind is wandering, you do all these extra movements. But you're focused on what do I have to do next? What do I have to do next? What about that? Is what Shivakam talks about, the brain organization. So you kind of organize how your thoughts go, how your movements go. And as we know, yoga starts with the growth first, this body. So if they can get a better awareness of that body, they connect that with the breath, and the mind comes together. And they're more focused when the teacher is trying to teach. Right? So I try to always bring that. And kind of the same age. So I keep telling people, if you can just drop the labels, just treat them as kids, and try to see how far you can go. Even right here in this room, some people are very flexible, some people are very tight. And the way that I would work with you is the same way that I work with them. If you're very flexible, I'm going to try to bring awareness to your muscles and try to find out how you can make that body work in a strong way. And if you're very tense, I need you to relax. Because when you're doing asana, what is an asana? It's a comfortable and steady position. But it's that little word in the middle of it, and I put as a plus. It needs to be 50-50. And then you get the asana. If you have 80% of flexibility and 20% strength, your mind is going to fly away. Because it gets to a point that the muscles say, I can't do this anymore. So you guys start getting distracted. So you may have to lose to a little bit less flexible so you can engage your strength. And the other way, the same way. If you're very strong, you need to learn to relax. Who was here watching the demos on the continuing education saw many times Denise said, you have to relax. Shivakam will say, you need to relax. Okay, but the person has cerebral palsy and her body's all like that. But you need to trust that the information will get there, even if it's slow. So you do need the patient key. It's not going to go in your speed. It's going to go on the child's speed. Right? So it has been a big journey working and living the life of yoga. Sometimes people ask me, and if you ask myself, what is yoga for me? Like, I have been into that field since I basically was born. So it's really hard to see my life without yoga. It's kind of like melting into what I'm about. But I'm still learning, and it's everyday growing. And we do have our anxieties, we do have our insecurities, and the only way out is the way through it. And sometimes it is painful, and it's hard when you have... one thing I have to really say, wow, that you guys have more than I do. Because you all have moms, right? And moms, sometimes you just don't want them to tell you what to do, especially because they know too much about yourself. So why are you poking me if you know that is painful, right? But when it's someone else telling you, then it's easier. So you guys get it easier with her because it's just someone else. You know? And it's a very interesting thing because she's not only my mom, she is also my boss, my partner in crime for yoga.
That's not true. She is my boss. And even payment she makes, some months she said, I cannot pay you, mom, don't have
It's true. Well, I take care of the financial part, so it's just right. But anyway, she's the yoga for this business. You guys understand what I'm saying. But we grew up as these three people together. And then when my sister was gone, and it was just the two of us, and it was really strong. It's a very strong bond. My husband is jealous of that bond. But it's a very strong bond. And I can feel her, she can feel me. And I say hello on the phone, and she knows everything about me. What's going on? If it's good or bad, and she knows anything. So it's a lot of growth into a one-person relationship. So sometimes it's hard to hear what she has to tell me, and I don't want to be poked. But as a mom, you always want the best for your kids, and you're telling anyway, right? So you guys have that one piece that is easier for you, because it's easier to be poked by your teacher than to be poked by your mom. But what I can say is that it's an amazing pleasure to meet each one of you and to see what it's really hard to put in words what is for me. And somehow I have won the, I may not win the lottery down here, but I think I won the lottery up there because they gave me her as a mom. And I'm able to be in this journey with you all and to be able to be spreading yoga for the special child. And I feel so blessed to see this piece and to see people that I have seen for the first time, and see you guys working, what you're doing. It's just so fulfilling that I understand that there was a mission of someone that came to this world. And unfortunately, that was for only 14 years. But it was a well-accomplished mission that now is giving this inspiration to so many people to help so many other kids with special needs. And for that, I feel very blessed. Sante. Yes?
Thank you for sharing your mum with us. Thank you for being so generous of heart and sharing her.
And thank you for your dedication and devotion. I think we learn about seeing through the eyes of love through Shivakami and through you, Renata. It's amazing, just absolutely amazing.
You guys have any questions?
Thank you for being my daughter. I love you so much. Let's feed your ego here. Oh, come. Oh. Thank you. Very good, very good. Good job. I'm so proud of all of you, but I feel like I'm a mom already.
I know, and I'm happy to share the mom.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Was there ever a time in your life that you didn't want to follow this path?
Oh yeah, I was a teenager. Yeah. Oh well, that was fun.
Get your head back in there.
I know. Yeah.
She's not seeing it.
Yeah. It was
She
interesting.
doesn't wait there.
It was an interesting time because, like I said, I started teaching when I was 15, and I started teaching little kids because I thought that the adults were going to ask me 3 quick questions that I would not know how to respond. Like you say you don't want to talk. If you tell me at that time that I would be here now talking, I would say, there's no way, Rosetta, I'm doing. When she first told me that I was going to teach my first teacher's training, I said, you're kidding me, right? So, but there was a time. I guess that with my sister passing away and you kind of being a teenager at that point, it kind of messed up a little bit with everything, because in my head I said that my mind, the intellect, I would go, there are so many kids in this world that are not loved. Why did you take my sister away from us? It's unfair. Why did you do that? Why on the world? And then you understand the mission later. But I guess it's the whole time I start like rebel a little bit up, and I start to saying that I did not want to do any more yoga. I wasn't vegetarian. I just did not eat meat. But I would not touch meat. That's something that I would not do. But I was not vegetarian. And I want to be away. And because what happened is that time.
She wants to go dance. Mom, I prefer
Yes,
to
I would just dance.
I don't want to do yoga anymore. So, okay.
Yeah, and what happens is that I used to go to school. It was in downtown. So what I would do is that I would go from school to her yoga studio and stay there until she leaves. So I have to stay there, and I was kind of a receptionist and helping people, and like I've been doing that for a long time. But I said, I don't want to go there anymore. I don't want to go back. I want to go home. I want to be with my friends. I do not want to have anything to do with yoga. And she said, okay. And a kind of teenager kind of said, okay. Yes, it's okay. It's fine. I said, okay, great.
I was smart.
So-
I know if I go here, then she said, no, that's what she wants to do. I said, no, okay, everything. Okay.
Yeah. So I stopped doing yoga, and I didn't do for like I was almost 16, and then my sister passed away when I was 16, and until almost 16.
She was almost 15.
No, she was
You
more.
would be
She was
17.
14. I was 16.
Yeah.
So I said I don't want to do it anymore, and I didn't. And I started dancing. I started doing like hanging out with my friends from high school,
Doing jazz?
doing jazz and all that stuff. But I thought that I was free from it, you know, and I was just good. But the philosophy of yoga is always behind it. So we actually, she didn't know that, but we live in a neighborhood that was intense. A lot of people drink a lot. Teenagers, like young, my age, they drink a lot and they use a lot of drugs. And I knew everyone that used drugs. And I saw like people getting high and stuff like that. And I look at them and they said, whoa, I don't know if I want that. I did drink a little bit, but one time I really felt awful. I think it's the most embarrassed time of my life in front of her, because I was throwing up from alcohol, and when I woke up in the morning, she realized that I was drinking, and I was so embarrassed, but so embarrassed. And I was not feeling well the whole day, and I said, oh my God, I can't. That was right after my sister passed away. And I said, okay, that's it. I can't do it anymore. And I have not been drinking since then. Never touched alcohol again. And but then she started like slowly talking. She's living her life. I'm living my life. And then she decided to go to India. And we actually, at that time, when my sister passed away, we moved to a big house where we could have the yoga center and living in the same place. So it was like the yoga center was in the bottom and our house was in the top. So I see yoga students all the time. I still didn't do anything, but I see them all the time.
So
And there were
Celia
people-
was preparing the to move to a house. Oh, she was doing dance, and then she said, she came to me and said, Mom, because she always learned how to do the movements very, very fast. She was very clever for that. So she said, Mom, we are gonna have a presentation at the end of the year, and I'm gonna be in front. And during the training, I noticed that I'm losing balance. Perhaps I should do some balance pose. Then I said, why don't you come and do some yoga class? Yeah, this is a good idea, Mom. So she said she was just doing. That's when she came back to do yoga again.
Yeah.
Now, should go out, and she didn't know, but I would be there. Do what she was doing. That day I missed there, and she came up and said, see, I shouldn't have come earlier, I should be there too, a little more. But I was always paying attention, and of course, Divine Mother, please protect me. But I had given to her that background, so I have now to let it go. Let's see what happens. She has the background, she's strong, so I trust, I use that trust key. And I knew that so many kids were having drugs and things like that, and I was extremely worried about. So what I would do to get, knowing her friends, I would promote some party home and invite them to come. Of course, I would not appear there. I said, you can have your party here. I am not
Get
gonna
together.
be here, of course, apparently. So I would never come, and they had the party, and I was just observing who she was walking with. That's kind of tricky. But I was doing that.
Yeah. Always freedom. But what I felt like, even like with the people without, I felt like I don't want to be part of that. And actually, I was proud of being different. I like the fact that after I had this incident with alcohol, I was very happy to be the one who didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't eat meat. So I was different, and I like being different. I realized that I actually like being different. And then she decided to go to India, and the students, like, I still know them. Like, I still have the yoga center in Brazil, and some of the
He's
students,
gonna pay attention.
30
to
years
yoga
old.
You.
And then she said, yeah, and then she said, can you take care of the yoga center once I'm in India? It was a whole month in January. January is summer vacation. So I normally was going to spend the whole month at the beach. So I said, okay, I'll do it. And I got in. I never got out.